Greetings, everyone. Welcome to THL's Hearthcenter, your Tuesday night show bringing you the latest news on what happened in your week in THL. I am one of your hosts, Lotus Knight, and I am joined by my great castmates here. To my right, we have Geranium Battle. Geranium, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's a pretty exciting time. I think some big news is around the corner, and some of the playoffs are just around the corner in THL.
That is true. To my left, Azalea Kari is here. Azalea, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited to be back. Yep, and like Geranium mentioned, yeah, playoffs are coming up.
They are. They definitely are. And finally, Chicken is here. Chicken, how are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, it's nice to be back. I'm excited to catch up on all the interesting matches that I wasn't able to, or I guess that I just missed while I was away. But yeah, it's nice to be back and see how the dust has settled from the past week.
For sure. And a lot has changed. I mean, we had a large week last week, and the meta seems to have settled into an interesting state. So before we hop in, I want to ask you all, what is your impression of current Hearthstone? And I'm going to start with you, Geranium.
I am probably not the person to ask, because this is really the only Hearthstone interaction I have is doing some THL talking. So I have not opened the game in about 3 weeks.
Fair. Azalea, how have you been feeling?
I mean, Hearthstone's definitely in an interesting spot, like you said. I think the THL format kind of allows for more things that maybe don't have the best ladder performance to be able to get brought. But I won't say I am an expert on exactly like how things are going. I'm just looking at the tier list. It looks like there's a lot of Druid. That is good, and that's really all I know. Unfortunately I haven't been playing that much ladder.
Fair. Chicken, any thoughts on the current meta?
I do have some thoughts. There is definitely a meta right now.
Yeah.
And there are decks that are played in it. Some of the decks that I have been playing have been, well, actually pretty much just Dragon Druid and like Naga DH. And both of those are still pretty solid, I think. Both are like certainly a bit toned down from their previous versions. I haven't felt like there's been a huge power outlier in the meta right now. Though it does feel a little bit like there are just kind of like maybe since the start of the expansion there are a few less decks that are that feel viable at the moment. So it feels like the meta is narrowing down a little bit, which tends to not feel great. So yeah, hoping there's a mini set announcement soonish to, add a bit of a spark back to the game.
That would make sense. I gotta say, I feel like right now the meta's waiting for something to shake it up, because I feel like it's okay. It's not the worst set of cards we've had, but it needs something that makes people really want to play it. I don't see any deck, at least. I don't know about you all, but there's no deck that really makes me feel like I really want to play the game.
To concur.
But with that, let's move on to Player of the Week, where we can talk about some people who are playing the game very well. And we're going to start with our Hero Player of the Week. Geranium, who's our Hero Player of the Week?
Well, our hero player of the week is none other than Bill Snyder. The GOAT is back to 550 and has been carrying Ogre Team this season. This week, he won again in a 5-game, 2-hour slugfest to complete the perfect week, catapulting his team back into playoff contention. Thank you, always just in time, for that write-up.
I love slugs.
And Chicken, who won our Legacy Player of the Week?
Our legacy player of the week is none other than one of my former teammates. You kidding me? You've gotta be kidding me. He's back at it again, winning match after match and helping his team win week after week. You kidding me has been instrumental for the Last Dance's legacy squad with a 5-0 record and winning with a sweep to help his team have a comfortable lead heading down the stretch. And thanks to Azalea Akari for the submission.
Nice. And Azalea, tell us who's Pro Player of the Week.
Right, our pro player of the week is actually a former hero teammate of mine. Is Aquaman 575. Aquaman 575 is a significant improvement to Jason Momoa. Jason has never been 5-0 in Pro Series. Aquaman is. Jason didn't defeat a fellow undefeated player to get there. Aquaman did. Jason did not help lead his team, his THL team, to a 5-0 record, while Aquaman 575 did. Maybe DC should recast their hero. Just saying. Congrats to Aquaman 575 on his fantastic season thus far in Player of the Week, and fingers crossed for the new multi-million, multi-film contract. Thanks for the write-up, Based Inc.
Nice. Congratulations, Aquaman. And finally, Azalea, why don't you tell us our Wild Player of the Week?
Of course. Our Wild Player of the Week is Stazari. This player has starred this season only losing to one undefeated player in Wild Series. In another sparkling 1-seed performance, Stazari clinched a close 3-2 win, taking his record to 4-1. It may not have won his team the week or got his team into the playoffs, but it does make him an all-star Zari. And thank you for the write-up, Bone Masher.
Nice. Thank you, Bone Masher. I want to give a special congratulations to Bill Snyder, You Kidding Me, Aquaman, and Stazari. Congratulations, you all. Keep it up. Next week, we're going to have a new set of Players of the Week, and you might be on it. So keep it up, and we'll see you then. So let's move on to Hero Series. Everyone ready?
Indeed.
So we're going to start by featuring the match between The Last Dance and No Noon Too High, and I want to ask Azalea to tell us about it.
Okay. So, No Noon Too High versus Last Dance. It was actually a pretty close week. It started off pretty strong for our team. With I believe Lemur. I want to say it started with Lemur and Oz winning. I don't 100% remember. So Lemur took a 3-1 win over Neji Boston to start the week. And then my thoughts would be that Osmonaut took a 5-game win over Diamond. And then it was all Last Dance from there, with Turtle getting a sweep win over L-Bomb 25. Tab getting a 3-2 Game 5 win over Hustle, and Jim Philos taking a 3-1 win over Zangster to a 15-11 win for The Last Dance.
This is a very close win. Chicken, anything you want to say here?
Yeah, every so often, Turtle's got to sub in for a team, play his one hero match of the season just to beat the washed allegations. It turns out he's still got it. He is, I think, a player that looks a little like it looks a little unserious on paper, but he's also I don't know, he's one of my favorite players to team with, because when he is focused and putting in the effort into his matches, he's a very, very dangerous opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think I think it was a good decision to sub in the Turtster for the Last Dance, and was what gave them the edge in this match as well.
For sure.
Uh, I don't have the stats in front of me, but speaking of Turtle, if it's a season where he didn't start already at 550, I think he has like a 30-5 or something win rate.
Oh,
Like
wow.
absolutely obscene.
Yeah, he was telling me about how he shot back up to, I think, 550 in Legacy pretty quickly.
Yes, yeah, he didn't do much losing last season.
Fair. Any final thoughts anyone wants to talk about The Last Dance versus No Noon Too High? Okay, so that moves us to talk about a precarious moment facing a premium mountain. And we are going to have our action per minute specialist here, Geranium Battle, tell us about the battle of the APMs.
Well, what can you say? When you have APM versus APM, APM has to come out on top. But it actually looked very lopsided the other way to start off the match, because it started with Pace taking a 3-0 sweep over Jammies and Wild9 taking the 3-1 win over a Harmless Dog. But a Premium Mountain, had that Harmless Dog still in him, because Yfair made the next match a 3-1 over Epic Cat. I believe it went F Srirachi 1, taking the 3-0 sweep over Bone Masher, and then finishing it up, Chewy took the 4-game win over Molestar, and 13-10. Both teams are now more in the thick of it, of will they make playoffs or not, when it was looking a little bit more dire before.
Yeah, this is quite the interesting scenario where you have two teams competing, both not doing amazing, but coming at it and just getting a very close score. Azalea, anything you have on this one?
It's a super close match. It's always interesting when matches go from, when a team is essentially able to reverse sweep in matches. It's really interesting. I think it's always cool to see APM teams face each other. It's the same, and it's been the same in the past when if other established like multi-team like orgs have had teams face off against each other. But I think there's nothing really too interesting. I would say there's nothing too interesting with the classes, and I just think it looks like a great close match, and Chewy getting that last win has to feel really good, because obviously he hadn't got a win up to that point, and he's such a good player, so it was very surprising.
I'm shocked that Chewy hasn't, like, this season they haven't been going completely crazy as they usually do.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the players in this match.
Yeah.
I'd say that for most of them.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
It's true.
There's a lot of players who are struggling this season.
Now,
who don't normally struggle.
Azalea, what does that leave the standings like for Teal?
Okay. All right. So hero standings as they appear. Now we have F2L Black at a 4-1 record, 18 points per week in that. With a loss, they have 18 points a week. That is crazy. 91 points for them. The Last Dance starting at 81 on the week, sitting at 85. Currently, we have Ogreflow Out of Bounds Exception at starting of the week at 77, followed by Dad Legend at 72. We have A Precarious Moment at 68 points, A Premium Mountain at 62. We have Department of Legal Administration at 61, and rounding out with 53 points is no noon too high.
Nice. Still a lot to go. Do we know if they're the first 4 teams that
I
cross?
believe it's the first 4.
Top 4 teams, and it is the last 2 weeks that we are entering. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a very, very, it's gonna be a close race.
Yeah, really everyone.
The team's really, no one's really quite out of it. A couple of good weeks, especially playing other teams especially teams who are below, who are kind of on the bottom, playing the teams above them. If they can get some good wins, then it can definitely change the standings.
yeah, and a quick dirty way to sort of see that is if you look at that GS diff over on the side there, that's less than 1 week's worth of points. So a good week, and that GS diff becomes positive, and then as you can see, every positive team currently in a playoff position. So
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a look with this at player power rankings, because that's what everyone's here to see. Who actually made the top 15 players? Geranium's going to tell us our hero player power rankings.
of course, starting with the honorable mentions, as always, the 15th player power ranking is Maxibon 1234, sneaking in there with only 1 match. But then we've got Roofski 2 and 3, Bill Snyder 4 and 1, both on the same team, Osmonaut, who is sneaking in with only 2 matches, Rymiat, who is 3 and 1. But then in the top 10, we've got Risen 3 and 2 with a 12 and 8 game score, Lemur, who is 4 and 1 with a 12 and 5 game score, Heatshock, who is 3 and 2 with a 13 and 10, Nice Jewish Owl, who is 3 and 1 with a 10 and 4 game score, Starlax 4 and 1, 12 and 6 game score, Wyfair also 4 and 1, 13 and 9 game score, Rabobson 4 and 1, 13 and 8 game score, Dankestad has 3 and 1 with but an 11 and 5 game score, Tab, also on the same team as Dankest, 4 and 1 with a 14 and 8 game score, and then the only undefeated player left is Pace, 5 and 0, 15 and 6 game score.
Spam your rigged emotes over there if you think anything here is rigged. But this is quite the great selection of players. How do you feel about it, Geranium?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there may have been some small payments. I think that this is not as rigged as maybe some of the other times it's been, because there are quite a few very strong players in seeds below where they should be. Looking at looking at basically every person on this list, they should be up a seed. So maybe they will next season.
It's interesting because Oz typically plays down in the 4, and he, because of my team's PR situation, he's playing up in the 3, and he's killing it. So I'm very, very happy.
We will see a lot more where these really land as we get more weeks as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Any final thoughts on Hero PPR before we move on straight into Legacy? All right, so we're going to start Legacy by taking a look at Apostate Missing versus Just Pimping, and Chicken is going to tell us what's going on there.
Yeah, in this match, the Justins had a pretty rough go at it, with the exception of the captain, always just in time, getting a narrow 3-2 win. There were no other wins to be found on the side of the Justins, and APM got a pretty strong 21 points on the week, with everyone getting a win except for Chewy, who, seems to be just having a bit of a tough season in general across Hero and Legacy. But yeah, it seemed like just a bit of difference in the brings on both sides, seeing like a good amount of Demon Hunters from APM, with just the one from just in time, that is, on the side of Just Pimpin'. But yeah, I wonder like how much the preparation actually involved was a factor here versus just a bit of either luck or player diff. I I was a little bit I'm a little bit surprised by well, not too surprised, but personally I haven't felt that like Naga Priest is all that strong. Um, it seems it seems to have like I don't know some fairly like glaring weaknesses, but it I don't know other people swear by it, but at least for me, I haven't experienced it being like that strong of a deck or like something that I have felt is worth bringing.
Mm-hmm. Geranium, anything you want to add here?
Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty interesting set of matchups. Shaman's sort of squeaking its way into lineups still. Um, the Warlock that we mentioned last week is sort of hobbling along, and you see it here in the 5 seed. But one thing that I do want to mention is F. Sorachi taking the 3-0 sweep and then having to face his captain, Bone Masher, in Hero, and doing it again. So, some players are just playing hot, I think, and that's sort of how this match ended up going.
Anything else anyone wants to say about this match before we move on to our final legacy match of the night? All right. So, Azalea, tell us about Dead Legend versus Defias, kind of a classic THL match. Two teams that's been around for so long. What happened?
All right. So two teams kind of battling out in the thick of it in the Gold Conference. But in the end, we had Dad Legend come out on top of this match. But in terms of going down the line and with seeding, Classy Thug got for Defias got their only win with a Game 5 win over King Viking 23. But on the down the line afterwards, it was all Dad Legend. We had Halo taking a 3-1 win over Truth AM. We had Pescatarian taking a Game 5 over Neb Canuck. We had Yellow Dart taking a 3-0 win over the Real Lure. And then down in the 5, we had Haster taking a 3-1 win over Walkerman. So 18-8 for Dad Legend.
Nice. Congratulations, Dead Legend, on winning this week. Geranium, anything you want to say here?
Yeah, I mean, this is some of the classes that we have remarked upon. Dad Legend bringing last week, like that Hunter from Pescatarian, are making a return and still finding lots of success. I mean, if Dad Legend is able to hunker down and keep bringing the things that they know that they're good at, week after week, despite the meta changing, it's a great sign.
For sure. It is a way to win, just bringing good decks.
Mm-hmm. And bringing what you know, I think, is really important.
For sure. Now, Chicken, where does this match leave the standings at?
Yeah, so moving over to the standings, starting in the Gold Conference, we have The Last Dance with a pretty significant lead up at 94 points. Then below them, we have Dad Legend at 78. Followed close behind them are the standard THL Degenerates at 76 points. Then we have Defias at 65, Big W Esports at 57 points, and rounding out the Gold Conference, we have the 10-gallon R-Hats at 50 points. And moving on to the Red Conference, a pretty similar situation with the top team, A Posse Missing, being pretty far ahead at 97 points. Then right below them are Just Pimpin' at 74. Then both tied at 72 points, we have F2L White and E.T. Cthulhu in 3rd and 4th place respectively. Then in 5th place, we have The Stubbs at 69 points. And the final team in Red Conference is the Blind Bandits at 43 points. So certainly some teams that are already looking like a lock for playoffs, those being the Last Dance and a posse missing. But I'd say aside from that, it's very much up in the air, especially with some of the teams being so tightly packed in some of these in Red Conference specifically, being such a tight race. So certainly the last couple of weeks of Legacy are going to be very interesting to watch.
For sure. Yeah, there's still so much to go and quite a gap in both conferences, really.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks left, and this is top 3 in each conference. But then the very top team gets a bye, so there is something still to fight for the Last Dance and a posse missing. Even if they look like they already are in playoffs, getting that bye is pretty important.
All right. So let's take a look at the Legacy Power Rankings. Speaking of top teams, Chicken, what is Legacy looking like?
Yeah, so moving over to the Legacy PPR, starting with our honorable mentions, we have Nice Jewish Owl at 2-2. Then we have Chronic at 3-2. We have Risen also at 3-2. We have Yockster at 4-1. And our final honorable mention is Dragon Rider at 3-2. And taking a look at our top 10, we have Neji Boston at 3-2. We have Ron Mexico at 4-1. We have You Kit Me at 5-0 with a 15-5 game score. We have Haster also at 5-0 with a 15-6 game score. We have Jammies at 4-1 with a 14-6 game score. Then right above them is Dr. Bomdi at 4-1 with a 14-7 game score. In fourth place is Caleb EM at 5-0 with a 15-6 game score. Third is Justin Time with a 15-7 game score. At second, we have F. Sriracha at 5-0 with a 15-6 game score. And finally, the undisputed best player in Legacy Series is Epic Cat at 5-0 with a very impressive 15-5 game score. So congrats to everyone that made the Legacy PPR and the honorable mentions. And if you didn't make Legacy PPR, it's not your fault. You just need to blame Marty. As usual.
Actually, it looks like you just need to go undefeated. That's like almost everyone on this list.
Or
yeah,
be
just
Neji.
don't lose.
If you're Neji, you're also fine.
Yeah. If you got really unlucky and lost, I don't know. Well, it happens.
Well, I'll bring us to our main screen for our commercial break, but with our commercial break, I have a quick mini game for everyone. And the mini game today is brought to you by Plaguebrinker. Plaguebrinker is a card that starts with the word plague in its name. So my question is, how many cards start with the word plague in their name?
Oh my god.
So
Um,
I give up. I concede.
So we'll
I'm
see.
thinking of a number between 1 and 10.
We'll see what happens if you can name any or as many as you can plague cards. Meanwhile, Chicken's going to
God.
read you our commercial. Chicken,
God.
go ahead.
Where is this? Okay. Yo, 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 yo. Hey there, Twitch viewers. Have you yet decried to Team Hearth League yet? Then make today the day to subscribe yourself to our channel. This subscription enables our team to cover the cost of operating our website, as well as improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. If you have Amazon Plague/Twitch Plague, you can subscribe to the channel for free. Subscribers will get a THL emoticon, as well as a normal THL chat badge. So flip that gums up mutton and make sure you catch our streams. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out THL's other social media points of interest. Plagues of interest, sorry, that's my mistake. Website, teamhearthleague.com. Follow us on Twitter at THL_HS. Join us on Discord, Team Hearth League. Face us on Hearthstone, Plague Doctor, #2/3, as well as a normal THL chat badge. The true Hearthstone sub-legend ranked Geranium continues to toast all our videos on our YouTube channel. Just search for Team Hearth League to see everything previously recorded. Or don't. We will not check. You are better or worse watching us on our Twitch channel, or possibly on our YouTube Gran Apple yet. And for all you NHL fans out there, there are NJ Fan 1 match shows most days of the weekdays. You can't go wrong tuning in at any time for that Hearthstone-related content. Now back to the good part. Good chat.
Nice.
Ciao.
That was a great
I-
read,
I-
Chicken.
Definitely, obviously not the most corrupted commercial we've had, but maybe one of the ones that has tripped me up the most. But
is
maybe I
actually-
just need to get back into practice.
And I read it last week, and it's actually quite hard to read.
Yeah, it's a bit deceptive.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered maybe we're too used to it being corrupted, so it's harder when it's less?
Yeah, no, that has crossed my mind. Just reading the normal one and like getting tripped up when you see like the original version and not like the one you've been used to for the entire season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, talking about plague cards, how many cards start with plague? Let's go through the list. And I'll ask Chicken first. Chicken, what cards do you know start with the word plague?
There is a card that I think is called Plague Scientist.
Plague Scientist is correct.
Can I guess a number? Can I just guess a number?
Guess your
I
number.
have no idea. Let's say everyone loves the number 4. It's such a nice divisible number and a squareable or a square rootable number. So I'm gonna say there are 4 plague worded cards. Wait, no, that's so not even close to true. Oh my god.
It's
Wait, I
not
forgot
even
about Uldoom.
close.
I forgot about Uldoom, and there's like 7 plague cards. Okay, I'm gonna say like 11.
Okay.
Oh my god, there's like Plague of Death, Plague of Flames, Plague of Madness.
Yep. Plague Murlocs.
Oh, there's Plague of Murlocs. That's so true. Yeah. Oh god. Okay.
Did you name the priest one?
No,
yeah,
he
Plague
didn't
of
name the
Death.
warrior
Plague
one.
of Death.
The warrior one is missing.
Like a wrath, I
Plague
think.
of Rat.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What plague cards did you catch that were missing? I'll ask you, Chicken or Geranium, any cards that they didn't say yet with the word plague?
Okay, this is the. So there's 2 different forms of trivia for me. You can either ask me to name a card, in which case I have no clue, or you can ask me to describe a card that you give me the name and I know everything about it. So I know none of these cards. You can ask me for 5 hours. I don't know, maybe Plague Doctor is what I said in the commercial. I think that's the Rogue 2/3 that gives him.
It's a
minion
Plague
poisonous.
Scientist.
I don't know.
Well, that's Plague
Okay.
Scientist, but Plague Doctor is also a rogue card.
It is not.
No, really?
No.
Well, Plague Scientist, obviously I knew.
I'll name the cards so you all know what they are. There's
No,
plague.
it's Plague.
Azalea gets a chance.
Now it's when Plague is the first word, right? Because there's a card that has Plague as the second word.
No, plague is the first word.
Okay, so spreading Plague is eliminated.
Not count. So the
Yeah.
cards that would count are Plague Eruption.
Plague Eruption, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, Plague Eruption.
That's not a real. That is a community made card.
It is actually played
that a-
right
Is that
now.
a druid? Oh.
Yeah, it's the 3-mana Warlock card, right?
3
Yeah,
mana,
three
deal
warlock
2
card.
damage. If you discarded
Yeah.
the card this game, deal 1 more.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Deal
That's
2 damage to all
kind of
minions.
standard,
Oh.
It is a card in
That
Thaddeus
card
Warlock.
is called Plague Eruption.
Yeah. And then there's a 8-mana is it 8-mana 8/8 or an 8-mana 7/7?
There's
Plague Proto-Drake.
Plagued Proto Drake. You're right.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, 8/8.
Big deck people who play big classified decks that are big
And
in wild.
there
right?
is
So
also-
we could put a Drake.
There's the cycle that we mentioned. There's the Plague Scientist, the Plague Bringer. There's the Plague
Plague
Strike.
Bringer, that's the card.
Plague Strike is
Strike,
the
yep.
2 mana deal 3
2-mana, deal
unholy.
3.
There's
Yeah,
the
I knew
Plagued
that.
Grain,
That's you too.
the 1 mana
There's
gain
what?
4
Plague Grain,
corpses.
yeah.
And the
there's
final
like-
2 that were the hardest ones. There's Plague Maw the Rotting,
Plague Maw the Rotting, yep.
Mm.
That's super
and
good,
there's Plague Spreader.
yeah.
Those are all the 13
So
cards
I
with
think
Plague.
Chicken was like very close to.
Wait,
It's
what was, the,
13.
what was the final number?
I
13.
think it's like there's 13. Yeah,
13. Wow.
yeah.
Right?
My guess was like
Gonna-
15. My guess was gonna be like 15.
Given that Chicken submitted the only guess before hearing the number, Chicken definitely
No, he wins. Yeah. I mean, none of us gave a number.
The best way to win is by default.
Yeah.
A win is a win. We don't question it.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I hope y'all found this one interesting. I wanted to make a
Awesome.
challenge
That
that
was
wasn't
cool.
trivial.
That's cool. Yeah. No, loved it.
So, with that, everyone ready to move on to pro?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. So first, we're going to look at an APM match, which means Geranium is going to tell us about CMU facing APM.
Of course, in the battle of the acronyms, DMU came out on top with a 16-11 win over all possible means. That came with Pyrolama taking a 3-2 win over Parawax, Random Dude sweeping over Faux Show, Wild9 taking the win over K-Bell, but all possible means bottom seeds, Agrolandia and Caleb EM both taking Game 5 wins over Memnarch and Not Bamity respectively.
This is quite the nice showing by CMU. What do you think, Chicken?
Yeah, it is looking that like CMU has kind of found their form again. Definitely a bit of another big difference in preparation strategies with APM still feeling like Rainbow Mage is a solid threat in the meta, and CMU leaning more towards Paladins and Death Knights a little bit, along with a little bit of Priest sprinkled in there as well. Actually, CMU kind of was. It seems like their players were kind of all playing to their own individual strengths, whereas APM was kind of having a bit more of a cohesive strategy across lineups. So, I mean, it seems like it's worked out better this week for CMU, but I wonder going forward how these kind of different ideologies will play out a bit, because I've kind of played on. Well, I've definitely kind of tried both of these types of strategies in pro, and for me it just kind of varies like week to week. Like if I have no idea what I'm gonna bring, I'll just like copy my teammates' homework or something like that, or vice versa. Or if I feel like I can get an edge on a specific opponent with a certain lineup, I'll tinker a little bit more like that. So perhaps it was just that sort of case where APM, the players on APM weren't as sure about what they wanted to bring, and so they brought one of their players did the homework and they were just like, I'll just bring this, and then perhaps with CMU they felt more confident about their own individual brings.
Fair. I like copying my teammates' homework. Doesn't always happen, but it is a fun strat. Anyone?
Yeah, it definitely looks like CMU did try to do that sort of counter bringing.
Yeah.
Seeing decks like Plague Decay coming from Not Bambi, seeing Wild9's lineup, makes you wonder what they thought their opponent was going to bring to be bringing Secret Hunter.
For sure.
I mean, it's just it says Secret Hunter. It's funny. It's Arcane Hunter.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's just running a small secret package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we move on to our final match of the night?
Sure.
So, Chicken, why don't you tell us about the staff of the Four Dubs and Owl facing F2L? It is our first and only tie of the night.
It is our favorite result in THL. It is the tie, and with two teams that had the same record going in and have the same record after the week. Yeah, both teams sitting at 2-1 after this match, and yeah, it was very, very close, as close as it can get, you might say, with Dinsey and L-Bomb 25 getting the wins, and Copa getting the wins for staff of the Four Dubs. And then you had Seth and Marty B on F2L bringing the points back and rounding it out at 13 apiece. A bit of a similar situation to what we talked about in the last match, where F2L has very very congruent lineups. A bit of, a little bit of variation in the druids there. You're seeing like 3 different types of druid archetypes, and all three of those archetypes, are pretty solid in the meta right now. And then a little bit more, still a lot of similar brings on staff of the Four Dubs, but a little bit more variety. But both of these teams not needing the points too much, because they're both at the top of their conference, and they have a bit of a cushion between the next couple teams, but certainly neither of them wanted to lose this week, because it would have closed the gap between the 3rd and 4th place teams by quite a bit. So both of them getting 14 points of the week is still pretty respectable.
For sure. Anything else anyone wants to say about this one? I'll ask Geranium here.
Yeah, it's something interesting. Like, I wonder if there's any betrayal felt based, after winning a season with F2L, something across the table. Most likely not, but regardless, F2L bringing these the coalesced lineup, and then seeing the staff of the Four Dubs having sort of some sort of idea what they're going to ban as well. Really hitting mostly the priest and the druid. It seems like those were their threats on the meta, despite I've heard lots of people talking about rogue being another threat, and then obviously F2L thought that the DH should be a threat as well.
Mm-hmm. Azalea, anything you want to say about this match?
I think I think it was mostly covered. I don't think I have anything to add. I mean, there was. I guess the only thing would be just like there's 4 different druids brought throughout the match.
That's crazy.
Very strong. Druid's a very strong class.
Yeah. So with this, we have finished our week in pro, but let's take a look at the standings. And we're going to have Azalea take a look and tell us, what are the standings for pro looking like?
Absolutely. So we're going to start in the Black Conference. Up at the top, we have staff of the Four Dubs and Owl at 73 points. We have F2L 3 points behind them at 70. Imposters at 59 points in 3rd. We have Aussie Pro Mafia in 4th with 58. And AFG Pros at 35 points. Now moving over to Pink Conference, where we have Brushy Tuna at 108 points and a 5-0 record. We have The Last Dance at 100 points with also an undefeated record. We have Cheesemongers United at 89 points at a 4-1 record. All Possible Memes at 65 points and a 2-3 record. And Opportunistic Pro Players at 50 points with a 1-4 record. 2 teams above 20 points per week is nuts.
Right?
So,
Also
and
nuts that the third place team in Pink Conference has
be-
16 more points than the first place team
Yeah.
in Conference.
This
Uh,
is
yeah,
so
sometimes
rare.
the Wheel of Doom does cause some doom for some teams like CMU that might not make playoffs with the third best record in the league.
I mean, all possible means would have been a very competitive team in Black Conference.
absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, we've been making that remark last week, and I'm assuming we're going to be continuing to make that remark for the rest of the season.
This,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I hadn't been. Oh, like, uh, when I was away, I'd been looking at like individual matches here and there, but I hadn't really been paying attention to the standings. So coming back and seeing this is pretty jarring. I actually don't think I've ever seen two conferences this lopsided, or at least not in the past, not in recent memory.
I mean,
yeah.
I've played
Absolutely.
15 seasons of Pro. This is my 15th, I think. I was checking this lately, and I've never seen anything like this. It's never been a thing before.
I mean, I think that this sort of thing has kind of happened before in Hero, like not
Yeah.
specifically on points per week of having multiple teams above 20 points, but there being sort of lopsided results. And I think I even incorporated it into a season-winning banner of just like the team that won would have been 6th on points per week in the other conference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, I remember. Well, Hero used to have like the wild card spots in Hero used to be like cross conference,
Yes.
and so like when you did have a lopsided conference, it was sort of like compensated for a little bit. But then people got mad that like only that like double the teams from one conference would make it over to like the other conference. So it's kind of hard to win either way when something like this happens. It's just a bit unlucky, you might say.
Yeah. Now, let's move back to PPR after this because we could spend a long time talking about the system, and PPR still has quite the interesting result. Um, let's take a look at it as Azalea talks to us about pro player power rankings.
Absolutely. So we have our honorable mentions. The honorable mentions start with Ron Mexico at 4-1. We have Wild 9 at 4-1. We have Pilot 7-1-2 at a 3-2 record. We have Seth sitting at 3-1. And then rounding out HM's is Neji Boston at 4-1. Just barely missing out on the top 10, which starts with Donkey at 4-1. Then we have Agent PWE at 4-1. We have Stinzy at 4-1. We also have a Random Dude at 4-1. Odd number 6 is Odd Law with the same record. And now we get into our top 5. All of our undefeated players are up in the top 5, starting with Pyro Llama at 5-0, and I'm gonna guess a 15-6 because I don't imagine he has 12 wins in a 5-5. But regardless, next up we have Dreadeye at 5-0 with a 15-6 record, followed by his teammate and our gracious host Lotus Knight in third at 5-0 with a 15-5 game score. At number 2 we have Aquaman 575 from The Last Dance with a 5-0 record and a 15-5. And number 1 we have Mick Bannerface. We have our final undefeated player, 5-0 with a 15-7 game score.
This is, I mean, a lot of recognizable names, a lot of really good players.
Yeah.
I want to take this opportunity to congratulate all the players in our power rankings, be it pro, be it legacy, be it hero. It's very tough, so congratulations if you're on the list. And if you're not, keep winning and you get there. With that said, should we come back to our main screen?
Bring us home.
Absolutely.
So, my checkout question of the night for tonight is going to be, we're all expecting mini set information soon. So I want to ask you, what archetype would you like to see get support? So it can be any archetype of this year that you would like to see it get a card. Yeah, that's about it. So I'll start with Geranium. What would you like to see being supported?
But a huge question to be dropped on you. A bomb, you could say, but there's no bomb warrior. But there is plagues that can be shuffled in. So I would like to see Steam Cleaner get supported. Another Steam Cleaner get added to this mini set. That is what I want. A better Steam Cleaner.
Okay, I'm very glad you didn't say you want to play DK support. Very glad.
I was I was about to curse really hard. Just said that, but yeah.
Azalea, what do you want to see get supported?
I want to see Highlander get support. Does any class? Obviously, there's Highlander Druid, which is playable. There is Highlander Paladin, which is potentially playable. But there's a bunch of there's other classes that got Highlander support cards that their decks are non-existent.
Yeah.
So I would like to see potentially more, maybe like I guess I would want more like a neutral, another neutral card that's obviously not as strong as Reno Lone Ranger, but something that can provide support to everything.
All right. And Chicken, what are we missing? What would you like to see be supported?
I think what I would maybe like to see supported is sort of some sort of tempo warlock. It feels like we have like a few support cards in like the sludge package with like the 4-mana 7/7, but it really feels like the deck is lacking consistency and kind of some sort of gas to get you past like, turn 4 or 5 and actually sort of kill your opponent. You can obviously like generate a bunch of sludges and use the legendary to kind of burst your opponent a bit, but to me at the moment it does feel like the deck does not really have enough sludge synergy to actually like be like for those cards to feel like they're worth playing. Like I tried playing them like early on in the expansion, and it just felt like when I was playing the 4-mana 7/7, I was really just like blowing up my own deck the majority of the time. I didn't have sludges at the bottom, which is really what you want. So perhaps a bit more sludge support. Give the sludge some love.
Yeah.
Can I actually go back and change my answer?
Sure.
Okay, having given it more thought, an adjacent thing to sludge, I want Fell Spell Warlock to get more support.
Oh no. As long as we make the legendary say your fell spells can't cost less than 1, and I'm okay.
No, you can't go back and say.
I think my card is gonna get that change at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more looking for like, we have the 5-mana spell that deals 2 to all enemies. I think is like languishing, and just a couple more fell spells, even if they aren't damage dealing ones, would maybe make something happen. I don't know.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I would like to see more Rainbow Death Knight support. They're trying to make it work, but it's always so short, and it would be nice to actually get a fun chromatic necrotic explosion archetype.
Something that kind of ties it.
It's never gonna happen. We all know it.
No, I
but I
know,
would
know.
like to see it happen.
Yeah.
But with that, that is it from us tonight. I want to give a super special thank you to Azalea Kari, Geranium Battle, and Super Chicken for being here with me tonight. Always great doing this show with you all. I want to thank all our viewers for watching us, and all our future viewers on YouTube as well. Hello, and thank you for watching us. We are done for tonight. There will be shows this weekend, match shows. Please let us know on the Stream Matches channel if you want to play your match on stream. We are always looking for great stream matches, so please hit us up. Finally, I hope you all catched the amazing show Mako pulled yesterday, so
Yes.
give it a watch next week, as they're going to do an awesome tier list. I don't know if they've announced what it is yet. Have they?
I don't know. I mean, you could come to the VOD. But
I
Guess not.
can, I mean, not going to spoil it in case Mako wouldn't want me to spoil, but I can tell you, taking a look at what they have on the schedule, it is going to be a fun one. I like it. I think it's quite nice, especially if you're a fan of the kind of questions we ask on this show. So with that, I am going to leave you all with a good night, and we will see you all later. Bye, everyone.
But